In today's video, we're going to be working on doing a fabric pull, constructing the left side of the sleep sack, and working on our color play and moving on. Welcome back. This is Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. That sounds very official, doesn't it? I am Dawn and I'm at the lake and I'm exploring all the things that there is to do with the arts of quilt making. What we're doing today is going to be a little different than what we normally do. I'm not going to be on camera except for a little bitty smidge during the pond update at the very end. That's right. If you're here just for the sleep sack, don't worry. That's what this video is primarily about. If you want to watch anything about our pond, put a timestamp down below so you can see that. We're going to start off doing a fabric pull. We're working on the left side of the sleep sack, and we're going to create the fabric that we're going to eventually quilt and then turn into the sleep sack for my 1-year-old grandbaby. So just like I did with the right side, I want to make sure that my colors are gradated, starting from the bottom going to the top. So I'm grouping, and I can only cut so many layers at a time anyway. So I'm grouping my fabrics into saturation. The more saturated groups are put together and then cutting through those. And then, starting with the dark and going to the medium tones and then going to the light. You can see we've got different sizes. I started off with a larger square, and I decided I didn't want my 4 square, my IMPROV 4 square that I'm creating to be that large. So I went down to the 3.5 inch square, and I'll cut that down to size later. Moving on to our light colored fabrics. I just love all these colors together. They're just dreamy. It's hard to go wrong, and not to do a spoiler alert, but my goodness, I'm really pleased with how this is turning out once I got it on the wall, the design wall. I cut more of the lights than I did of anything else, just because I knew I needed to intersperse a lot to get the desired effect. Now, here's where things get interesting. Okay, you cut things in half, and you're supposed to create your 4 square, you match them up. Well, of course, I'm blending my colors and gradating my colors. So as I'm piecing together the beginnings of a 4 square, I'm having to say, okay, so if I got these piles of dark fabrics, do I just match them up, or do I match them with the medium tones and with the light tones? And so getting a fair, equal distribution was a fun thing to think through. And really, I just kind of winged it. It wasn't an exact science. You see what I've done? I've cut them in half and then sewed them together and cut them in half again. Then you mix and match and you sew them back together and you get your wonky IMPROV 4 squares. Isn't that a beautiful set of colors? Okay, I gotta make sure we're laying out exactly what will fit on the pattern. So put the pattern down, start laying out everything. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? I'm really pleased with these fabrics. Again, I'm just pulling from my stash. I did not go shopping, did not buy anything special. That's part of the creative process for me in this particular project, is just working with what I've got, whatever limitations that brings, just figuring out how to work around it or how to accept it. Trimming up each of the rows so I can attach them to each other. This went smoother on the right side. I'm not quite sure, but I had to redo a couple of my rows while doing the left side. Retrim them. You can see that one there. It's got a little bit of a peak. I have to come back and trim that one. Yeah, see, I just did that. You can see the pattern says 18 to 24 months. I wanted to make this sack large enough that she can wear it throughout this year and maybe even some next fall. If not, all of next winter. Those colors, I love them. All right, we're getting there. But the very top needs to be the lightest saturation. Even though it's almost purely white at the top, having the different fabrics gives it enough of variation that I think it really works. You get tone and texture from that surface design, from the changes in the surface design. Look at that, isn't that pretty? And don't all those colors look beautiful together? Just really pleased with that. Really pleased. Look at that. So I wanted to clean up my space so I could go on to the next phase. I haven't really done a thorough cleaning of my studio since before I went to surgery in July. And it felt so good to get a clean surface, a large clean surface. All right, so I want to make sure that I'm lining up my pattern with the orientation of the seam lines of the fabric being vertical and not cattywampus. So I decided the best thing to do is to put the fabric down, make sure it's lined up right, and put that over the pattern and mark registration points along the fabric. So when I put the pattern back on top, I can then just cut along those edges because I know I've got my pattern lined up properly. I hope that makes sense. A little bit convoluted to say, but I do that with both sides, the left and the right. Of course, our left side represents our expansive blue skies in the summer, and the right side is our sunsets, our stacked sunsets. There we go. Now everything's shaped up. Oh, and I really love how it looks against the Pick A Petal in the background. Maybe one day she'll be sleeping underneath the Pick A Petal with her sleep sack. And now we're moving on. What are we going to do to the back of this thing? Oh yeah, this is what we're doing. We've got a road, we've got a house, a tree, a barn, some characteristic things from my granddaughter's life. That's what this whole narrative for this sleep sack is all about. So a log cabin is going to represent the house. I think the barn may be done in red work, just embroidery. And of course the tree is most likely, just for time's sake, going to be just a fusible applique. Of course, we've got a road going up the mountain. Initially, I made it all pretty parallel. The lines of the road were parallel, but then I came back and I widened it. So do you remember whenever we made the background for where the hay bales are in the cotton fields? I used some cheap fabric to try to fill in the gaps. I wish I'd not done that because now I would have moved that left hay bale up so that it bridges with the left side of the front of the sleep sack. I'm just excited about this. I think it looks beautiful. I'm excited to see what it's going to look like when I get the cotton bowls on it and a little bit of embroidery work that's going to go on it, and get the back of it done, get the thing sewn together. Oh, I'm just so inspired. I think about it as I'm waking up and think about it as I'm going to sleep. We're going to get there. Thanks for being on this journey with me. And now, these two curious pups want to show you their pond. They think it's theirs because it's their playground right now. This is proof of what I've been telling you guys. I've got a lot going on. A lot of mud when it rains. And when it's not, it's a lot of dust and a giant hole. Let me show you a better picture. That area that looks like a bridge is a weir. The fish will be able to swim over it. The water line will go up, I think it's about halfway up that wall there. I think that's what I would call it being. Chris knows all those details. I don't. So this is the deep end. I'll show you that better in a minute from another angle. And then this area is like just a pool. And then right here in front of me where Ruby just walked in front of, that will be the shallows. So this will be like, 8-10 inches, I think, or maybe it's more like 15, I don't recall. And you see where those blocks are headed away from the pond? That's going to be a stream. And it's going to be dug out level with that shelf right there. So the fish can swim up the stream and just, expand their swimming area a little bit. And the waterfall, which will be a small little waterfall, will come out of the bog filter. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so you can see the deep end there. He's working on laying out the blocks for the retaining wall. We've got some weird soil. Like this soil right here is harder than rock. You can take a pickaxe or sledgehammer to that and it do nothing. And you do the same effort to a rock and it shatters. Some of the soil is just crumbly. So we're putting in retaining walls at those points. All of this is stuff that will be under the liner. I try to get some better pictures. The lighting is a little weird, but you can see that's a weir and it's lower than the water level, so the fish will be swimming over that. And it probably helps in this light to see that this area is the shallows. You'll be able to walk up to that and maybe even put a chair in it and sit there. You got your shelves for planting on. And then right here is where the stream will be cut out, excavated. Okay, so right back there, you can see the cement blocks are kind of in a circle. That's going to be the bog filter. And water will be pumped out of that bog filter, will pumped into it and out of it. And as the water falls out of it, it'll have a little bit of a waterfall sound. And then the fish will be able to go upstream. We're going to have to get some more dirt, believe it or not. So all this dirt lying around in this backyard, we're going to have to get more brought in. This dirt is half of why I've been so stressed of late. It is not easy having pups and a construction worker living in your home. He's not a construction worker, but he isn't doing construction right now. In fact, Chris very much is not a construction worker. This is his first DIY project. He's a brainiac, works in high tech out in California. He's currently between jobs. He took off to be with me for my surgery last summer and my spinal cord surgery, and decided to just extend it for a period. And that was great because he was able to help me with my surgery and this past July. The surgeries were just a few days away from being a full year apart. So he just wants to finish something, before he goes back to work. And this is a big, not just finish something, but, finish something big, monumental. So he can say that while he was off work, he did something just really pretty cool. And he has. And it's been cool for me to be able to watch him and grow and develop. I can see the artist in him come out, and I've never really seen that before, but it's there. So just, I don't want to give too many details about him, but he's got a birthday coming up, and I'm still learning about who he is, right? In fact, my mother's in her 80s, and I'm still learning who she is. So I think part of it's because we all continue to grow. But I hope that this has been encouraging to some of you to see one person taking on such a big task and handling it and just working diligently to move the needle, just like we're doing in the quilting studios. Thanks for letting me share. I'll share some more as it develops. We're getting closer and closer. Just got to be really detailed about everything that goes in under the liner. Everything you're seeing here is going under the liner. And that's where a lot of detail has to go. Once we get to the point where the liner is in place, we get to have fun and be creative. We get to put the water in, put the rocks in, well, rocks and then water, and plants and fish and, make it aesthetically pleasing. But this is just all the detailed work, and Chris is doing it all by himself. Very, very proud of him. All right, my friends, that's it for the update. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being on this journey with me. Keep the needle moving.